How does the Pedego City Commuter with the mid-drive motor compare with the same model with hub drive for towing a heavy trailer up steep hills? That's the subject of my video today. For this purpose, I rented a new Pedego City Commuter Mid-Drive e-bike from Montebello, Pedego. The owner of the store agreed to my taking the bike to Gatineau to ride it with my fully loaded Barrio bicycle camper in order to test its towing performance in the steep hills of my city. In this sketchy review, I'm going to give you my subjective general impressions of the mid-drive model and my objective observations by conducting a test to compare the towing capacity of the mid-drive with that of a hub drive. I'm not doing a full review because others have done this before me. One case in point is a review by Mikey of Blue Monkey e-bikes, where he compares the City Commuter hub drive and the City Commuter mid-drive. This was a very good test of the contrast between hub drive and mid-drive because the bikes were identical in many ways. The batteries were the same size and capacity and were placed in the same position on the bike, on the rear rack. All the components, the frame, wheels, and tires were identical. The only differences were the motor, its position, and the software. With the mid-drive, Mikey was expecting better range and better acceleration. But the test proved otherwise. Both bikes had the same range, and because the mid-drive works with an electrical delay when shifting gears, its acceleration suffers compared to the hub drive. Surprisingly, the top speed was more with the hub drive than with the mid-drive, 20 miles an hour compared to 18.5 for the mid-drive. I noticed the same thing in metric terms, 32 kilometers an hour for the hub drive and 30 for the mid-drive motor. Although I didn't run any acceleration tests, my subjective impression is that it simply doesn't have the same zip and go as the hub drive motor. I found shifting gears to be clunky and the throttle to be jerky. Now for the hill climbing test. The test consisted of towing the camper up 3 hills of different slopes with my own City Commuter hub drive and the rented City Commuter mid-drive. I loaded my camper as if I was leaving for a long trip, which amounts to 135 pounds. That includes the weight of the trailer and the contents. I added 25 pounds of ballast to my panniers to represent the conditions of a trip. The parameter I was interested in was how much the bike slowed down at their slowest moment in each of the 3 hills. First, I went up de l'Hôpital Hill, which is an 8% grade at its maximum. The hub drive slowed down to 12 kilometers an hour, but the mid-drive did better with its speed dropping less, 16 kilometers an hour. Then I climbed a steeper hill, Monte Paiement, which maxes out at 10%. The hub drive had difficulty with this hill, slowing down to a turtle speed of 7 kilometers an hour, whereas the mid-drive did much better, slowing to 12 kilometers an hour. Finally, for the ultimate test, I took the camper to Rue Maine, a whopping 16% incline. The hub motor stalled completely in the middle of the hill, and I had to dismount and walk the bike the rest of the way while coaxing it along with the throttle. On the other hand, the mid-drive pulled through, but had to struggle up the second half of the hill at a laborious 6 kilometers an hour, with me pedaling harder than I really cared to. This table summarizes the test results. This experiment shows that a 500-watt Pedego mid-drive is much better at climbing hills than its cousin with a 500-watt hub drive. But once at the top of the hill, I touched the casing of the mid-drive motor and it felt uncomfortably hot to the touch. Not burning hot, but more than warm. My concern lies in how well a mid-drive gets rid of its excess heat. So I'm asking the question, is a mid-drive motor that isn't inside a casing like the Bafang more efficient at dissipating built-up heat than a motor that's imprisoned inside a casing? Let me know what you think in the comments. My conclusion is that the Pedego City Commuter Mid-Drive is better than the traditional hub drive for towing heavy loads up hills, but because of the risk of overheating, it isn't the answer for doing long trips in mountainous territory with the kind of load that I like to carry. I hope you found this report useful, or at least interesting, or at least entertaining, or at least not too boring. If you'd like more information about electric bikes and bicycle campers, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. You could also visit my website www.robertberrio.com. There you will find information about my 2 books on sailing. Thank you for listening, and remember, never quit cycling.